Today, I am going to rank Doctor Who seasons. I don't know why. I kind of want to. I'm ranking the seasons based on the BBC's version of how each season is. So there's some specials which some people wouldn't consider being part of a season that may be in a season when I just talk about them. And you might disagree with me, in which case you can just shut up. There'll also be spoilers for Doctor Who. If you haven't watched the show since it began in restarted in 2005, where have you been? Doctor Who is amazing. You're just a problem to society at this point. Anyway, let's get down to the ranking. We have a bunch of different Doctor Who series, and I'm probably going to reorganise them in an order that makes sense. Right. Let's start then. I've reorganised this to be pretty, although I'm 90% sure I've gotten some of these wrong, so if they're the wrong poster, I don't care. I'll just say my ranking because it doesn't matter if I forget the poster. Season 1 of the reboot, Christopher Eccleston now is a part of a Doctor who has just, he's just gotten out of war. He is still reeling from that entire experience. I mean, the Time War was horrifying, and Rose, in this season at least, is not unbearable. This season has some absolute banger episodes, particularly Dalek, which is like, well, good episodes. Yeah, Dalek, that's a good episode, and The Empty Child is very memorable for reasons of, well, traumatizing me when I was about 6, because gas mask zombies isn't exactly, child friendly. And then they had a great finale with the Daleks returning and the Emperor of the Daleks just being the main villain. It altogether was a very consistent season, and I would rank it in. Why would I rank it? I feel like it deserves to be in S, but it did have some points that I just kind of got bored and wasn't fully in there. So I'm going to put it in A, A, that's still very good. It's just, I don't think it's S tier. Right, season 2. David Tennant's first outing with Rose. I know exactly where this is going. It's going in C tier. Sorry to anyone that enjoys this season, but I'm going to have to be incredibly harsh on my criticisms of this. I do not like the Rose-Doctor relationship in this season, just because of how appalling, how just Rose is just not likable in this season, and also I just don't like them romanticizing the companion and the Doctor in like the next few seasons. It kind of gets annoying. There are some very good peaks, but there's a lot of lows with some really just forgettable, just bad episodes, like Love and Monsters, and I can't even remember half of them. There are good episodes like The Satan Pit and Doomsday and Army of Ghosts, which is a very good finale to a season that I'm not a massive fan of. This was the first season of Doctor Who I watched, FYI, but as I've grown older and gone back to it, it has soured quite a bit, because I usually only watch, after rewatches of it constantly, I kind of only go back to the finale and the certain good episodes, which are few and far between, sadly. This season was very much the building blocks for David Tennant's character, and it did it very well, but I think other seasons completely and utterly made him just had a better idea of what he would be like as a Doctor, so this one kind of starts off feeling a bit weird with his Doctor, and it kind of grows on you, but it isn't complete by the end of the season, which is just not, it just wasn't for me, I guess. Season 3, easy S for me. I love this season. This is probably when I really started liking Doctor Who. I love Martha as a companion, even if she was a bit of a problematic love interested companion. That was a bit of bad writing by Russell T Davies, I have to admit. I didn't get it, but honestly this season just has a bunch of just consistently good episodes right off the bat. Smith and Jones to start off, you have Shakespeare episode. I know some people will have a go against Daleks in Manhattan and 42 especially in this season because they are obviously the weakest episodes. 42 obviously being written by Chris Chibnall, who let's just say most of the Doctor Who fandom do not like. But honestly, I think the season just completely and utterly sticks to landing with the final story it tells with the Doctor versus the Master, and it's really, really emotional and really well done, I think. It closes off Martha's story pretty well. And the Doctor just felt more complete in this season, especially his relationship with the Master, kind of propelling him forward and developing him a bit more as a character, and how he really is the last Time Lord. Yeah, I just think it's really fun to watch, and just it's good to go back to. Anyway, what's the next one? Season 4. Here we are. Pretty much the goat of Doctor Who. I'm gonna be honest. This is never changing. Season 4 is the best season of Doctor Who. There is no argument on that. From start to finish, it is just a brilliant series. There isn't a bad episode in the season. I'm gonna say it. No bad episodes. From the Adipose episode all the way to Journey's End, it's just an emotional roller coaster of brilliant character development, which culminates in pretty much the Avengers Endgame of Doctor Who. I know many people use that as a term, and it's correct. Doctor Who did Avengers Endgame years before Endgame even came out. This was just perfect. Donna is like a great companion that you just can't hate. She brings the comic relief, but also brings a lot of emotion to the world, and her relationship with our family is probably the best in the series, since I think to a lot of people the family dynamics in Doctor Who, especially in the first two companions' families, was hit or miss, with some people liking them, some people being slightly sour by them. But if you hate Wilfred Mott, you don't have a soul, is all I'm saying. This series just has some of the best episodes, some of the best writing by all the writers who are on the Doctor Who team. Had probably one of Stephen Moffat's best introductions of a character that he used later on perfectly in River Song in The Silence of the Library, which is already a great two-parter. A great Agatha Christie episode, and I love it. I generally can't think of many bad things to say about it. It did have a bit of a rough start, yes, but it's still a great season, and I was glad to see Catherine Tate come back as Donna, even though if it wasn't handled too well in the specials. But, you know, we live, we learn. Season 5 of Doctor Who. This one's a hard one. Ooh, where do I put it? I'm going to put it higher up. I'm going to put high A. Yeah, I really like the season. It's really good. It does have a few episodes that make me question if it's not a consistent series, I'll be honest. It has some very good highs, but it doesn't have a lot of lows, but just kind of in the middle of Doctor Who quality. I think it has a few more highs than lows, but in terms of Doctor Who, it didn't really go too far out of the mix and trying to be something major. There wasn't. That it brought back a lot of characters, a lot of, not characters. It brought back a lot of aliens and villains that we knew, like the Daleks. And that episode wasn't exactly brilliant, I'll be honest, but it handled a lot of things that obviously Moffat created in the Russell T Davies era, and it brought them over to the show in some interesting ways, and I was happy to see it. I mean, there were some pretty good great episodes, and it had a very good finale again. I think Doctor Who at this point was just great finale after great finale, so I can't argue with that. And the 11th hour is a great, probably the best opening episode for any Doctor that you could get, apart from maybe Capaldi's. And yeah, and Amelia is a very likeable companion, I'm gonna be honest. Karen Gillan obviously is probably one of the most famous people who ever got out of Doctor Who. She's now blockbuster stars, starring in the MCU, so that's pretty amazing. And yeah, I think bringing in Rory later on in the season is also really great. He's a likeable character, and it kind of brushes off of the Doctor and the companion being a romance. I know there was a bit of that, them being romantic in the first season. It was a bit, especially since she had a boyfriend, but it was handled very emotionally. I did enjoy it. But the reason it's not going to be S tier is I think it just didn't have the big highs that I want out of a Doctor Who season, and I know it's a shame, but don't think I can give any reason for putting it higher. Season 6. Ooh, where would I put this? This is a hard one. I'm going to put that in B tier. The season's very all over the place. I'll put it like that. It goes from a great start to some questionable episodes to a great middle part to a weird time jump to a good few episodes after to a kind of one episode ending to the season. It feels a bit all over the place, and I understand some of the reasons for it. I know there was a lot of problems at the BBC at the time, but it definitely it definitely hasn't stood as the most consistent Doctor Who series. It does have some absolutely standout episodes like The Girl Who Waited, The Good Man Goes to War, and the first two-parter, Astronauts in the Silence. That's actually, the Silence are absolutely really brilliantly done aliens, and I'm really glad that Moffat was able to bring in some new aliens instead of just rehashing old ones to be big baddies in Doctor Who, because I was a bit tired of the Daleks, I'll be honest. I think a lot of people were. And the Silence are very good villains, but overall I think it is it varies pretty much where because it has some big ups and big downs, and then it's a bit rough. And but the dynamic between Doctor and the companions, especially Amy, Rory and River, is really well done in this series, especially with all the story around River specifically. This season's very River dependent, and if you like River as long as a character you love the season, is just what I'll say. And it builds on it develops all the characters really well for what in the next season is just really traumatizing. Season 7, this is the big one, or at least if you're counting the specials, and I'm going to put that, I think in my opinion, I'm putting it here, an A, middle A. Do I think it's the best? I know it's divisive, but I'm going to put it there. Yeah, this is probably my favourite Matt Smith season, just overall finishing the storyline of the Matt Smith era Doctor Who with The Silence. Through watching it, I realise how, even though I know there's some plot holes, I know there's plot holes in the Silence storyline and all that, I still really enjoy it. I know this is probably the one with the most mismanagement as well, as obviously the season separated into two halves, with the OG Matt Smith Doctor kind of being the first 6 episodes. Was it 5? I can't honestly remember. With Amy and Rory till their demise in Angels Take Manhattan. The first few episodes are a bit generic, I'll be honest. Some of them are pretty forgettable or just bad. But it foreshadowed Clara, which was pretty good, especially Asylum of the Daleks is actually a pretty decent episode. Then we got on to 7B. I know a lot of people hate this part of the season, saying it's like, Clara's so annoying, and yeah, I get that. Clara definitely wasn't the best written companion at this point of the season. She didn't really have much going on. She really was just the impossible girl to understand. But Matt Smith, as always, is very likable in this part of the season, and it tells some of the best stories this part of the season specifically. I enjoyed the Snowmen, the Great Intelligence. I know it's a bit forgettable villain, but I kind of enjoy Richard E. Grant being a villain. I don't know why, I just enjoy it. And it all culminates in the name of the Doctor, at least somewhat, because I'm also counting the day of the Doctor and the time of the Doctor in this season. But yeah, the name of the Doctor, very good episode. I like it a lot. I know some people dislike it, bring in random characters who some people say shouldn't be there because we don't like it, and blah blah blah. But I feel like it has a lot of emotional payoff for things that were set up in the season. Day of the Doctor, which is probably one of the best episodes of Doctor Who ever. And then The Time of the Doctor, which is also an absolute great episode and a very underrated regeneration episode, because it feels like everyone just completely overrates the end of time, which, to be honest, I did not enjoy that episode too much, but we're not going to go into that. But yeah, it's a good season overall, and I do think it deserves more recognition for what it was than people just pandering against it because they dislike Stephen Moffat. Season 8. Oof, this one is also hard. I'm going to put in B. I think it's ahead of this. Season 8, this is probably, it's a great season, but it does have a lot of really weird and boring episodes, like Robots of Sherwood, I think it's called, and obviously In the Forest of the Night, which is one of the most hated episodes of Doctor Who, because it just writes a lot of things terribly and is kind of boring, and yeah, but it has a great opening, and coming back to Strax and that group in Victorian times with skin stealing robots, which kind of, goes back to Girl in the Fireplace all the way in season 2, which is a great episode, I have to admit. And it does have a pretty good payoff in the end by foreshadowing Missy, who, as we all know now, is the Master. I know no one really cares at this point because it was obvious to at least Who fans that Missy was the Master, because you literally just have to gender swap the characters and it literally becomes the Master. Missy and Mistress and Master. I don't know how people struggle to figure that out. Missy she brings a great amount of passion to the role. I also just like the fact that they finally stopped making every single companion fall in love with the Doctor. By this season, Clara was just like, oh, he's old, he's not attractive, where, and then actually went through an actual character development storyline with Danny Pink, because they realised that they can literally just write in a boyfriend instead of having to make the Doctor the boyfriend. The ending's pretty decent, but it's not one of the best finales. And then I would say Peter Capaldi is very much finding himself in the role as the Doctor in this season. Season 9. I love this season. So, I know some people are going to think, what the hell is wrong with me? But I just like it too much. I'm going to put it in S tier. Look, I know Hellbent exists and it was not brilliant, but the rest of the season's actually really good. I just like it a lot. Before the Flood is a great episode. The Zygon Invasion, the Zygon Inversion, also a great two-parter. I know there's that episode that's really weird in this season, but that's just one episode. Let's face it, this season's probably best thing is Heaven Sent. I mean, yeah, that's just that one of the best episodes of Doctor Who ever written. I love it. Lots of people love it. So I'm putting it there. Season 10, which I'm gonna put. Where should I put it? I'm gonna put it here. Standard Matt Smith's season 7. Yeah, I like Bill. I like Matt Lucas's character. I like a lot of this. I know season 10 is, a lot of people forget about it. It's not the season that, it's a season a lot of people left Doctor Who, because Doctor Who had a bit of a fall off here, mainly due just, I think, fatigue on it, and also just a bit of some of the writing choices, and also the fact that there was a year-long break on it, which was just interesting. But yeah, Bill is a great character, and this season I think has the best character arc for the Doctor. But number one thing about this season is it's just very consistent. I don't remember there being any very bad episodes, or even just bad episodes. There's some very, very decent ones. There's some pretty good ones for the majority of the season. Then just the last two-parter of it is just absolutely brilliant. Absolute one of the best parts of Doctor Who I think I've ever seen. It felt like an add-on to what the first two seasons, which it kind of was, because I think Moffat wasn't meant to come back for the season, but he did. And yeah, so it does feel a bit additional with some throwbacks to the Cybermen and all that. But it's a good season. I really do enjoy it. I know some people don't, a lot of people don't, and kind of losing interest in Doctor Who by this point, but it's still a good season to me, and I'm not really. I just like it. Okay, Jodie Whittaker's worst season 1, right here. Look, I'm not gonna argue. I know everyone hates Jodie Whittaker's season, but not all of them were bad. That being said, this belongs in D because it was just, what the hell was it? No, there's barely any characterizations of any of the characters. There is no overarching plot. The season just feels like a complete wander through these places in the universe without the Doctor doing much. There's only one good episode in the season, being Rosa. And yeah, I just got bored and it nearly made me quit Doctor Who because I had zero interest in watching something that didn't have a story to it. Look, I know Doctor Who is meant to be episodic for a lot of it, but that when it does have a storyline, they're usually pretty brilliant and they lead to great finales. This had nothing. It was just kind of boring as hell finale. It had a high budget and that was it. Season 12. Yeah, the finale was just bad, but I do think it's an improvement on season 11, even if with the timeless children existing. It did fix up a few things, and it did bring back the Master, although I know some people dislike this version of the Master. I found them interesting. He may have been a bit annoying, but let's face it, the Master, he did play the Master as a psychopathic nutjob, which was very nice. It also, an episode I kind of really liked, being the haunting of Villa Diodati. I don't know why I like this episode. Just felt like actual good characterizations of some of the characters. This was also the season where it actually tried to write an overarching plot for the season. I know this overarching plot wasn't that good, but at least they tried. And it kept me interested for the season. I know it wasn't brilliant, but it kept me interested at least. Last season of Doctor Who we've had before Ncuti, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Not going to because I don't want to sound like a racist. But yeah, this is season 13 of Doctor Who, also known as Doctor Who Flux or something. I think there were like some episodes before it that also count. I watched those, but I don't know really, they're kind of just separated from it. They were interesting, but yeah. I like John Bishop as the new companion. Was he my favourite companion? No. I also like the fact they gave Yaz more time to actually shine. So I think I'm gonna put that here. It actually probably, yeah, it's probably, no, yeah, it's gonna go here actually. Do I think it's better than this season with David Tennant? Yes, just a bit. Why? Because I just dislike Rose that much. And this season didn't really have any ultimately absolutely terrible episodes. They kept going with the Timeless Child thing, but at least they tried to keep it a little bit, like, making sense. Do I think it was brilliant? No, I did not. There were lots of things I did not like about it. It got very confusing at points, and I've forgotten. I think half the universe got destroyed, but to be honest, I can't remember. I did really like the power of the Doctor as an episode for what it was, and it was a good send-off for Jodie Whittaker. I have to admit, it did make me feel emotional, because, in all honesty, the entire issue with this era of Doctor Who was not Jodie Whittaker's performance. She was a very good Doctor. The issue was that Chris Chibnall doesn't know how to write an episode without going back and just stealing other things and doing it worse. Yeah, that's my review of the Doctor Who seasons. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think. I'm a big fan of Doctor Who, so I am hoping for the next season to be great, and I'm hoping people who watch this video are hoping for that. Cheers. Anyway, see you in the next one.